Trial by jury is a unique and valuable privilege you have here in the United States. A privilege that helps give millions of people the protection of the laws of our land. The Founding Fathers considered trial by jury of such importance that they included it in our Constitution. And right now, in courtrooms across the country and throughout Colorado, people just like you are gathering to take part, to help fellow citizens take advantage of their right to a trial by jury. Welcome to the Aurora Municipal Court, and thank you for being here today. I'm Deborah Brown. I'm going to give you an overview of what you can expect as a juror. I'll explain how the jury system works and go over some of the people and procedures that you'll encounter as a juror. Our jury system is designed to provide fair and just treatment for all citizens in court, and it's designed to meet many of your needs as jurors. We hope that you'll find jury service is both interesting and educational. So let's get started. You've been called upon to take part in an extraordinary process. Though we may take trial by jury for granted, it is still relatively rare around the world. As a citizen of this country, you have the right, if charged with a crime, to have your day in court. You also have the right to determine whether you want a trial by judge or a trial by jury. It is this right to be judged by people just like you, not just a judge or ruler or government leader, that sets our system apart from so many others. Our system can be directly linked to British law and history. Centuries ago, those accused of a crime had no representation, and kings, feudal lords, and other rulers decided guilt or innocence according to their liking, and often for their own benefit. But in the year 1215 in England, a group of angry barons who felt oppressed by King John confronted the monarch and forced many concessions in an agreement known as the Magna Carta. Today, this historic document is often seen as providing a mandate for trial by jury. As the Founding Fathers drew up the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, they included trial by jury as a fundamental right. It is a right to cherish, and today as jurors in a courtroom like this, you have the chance to help others take advantage of their right to a trial by jury. Now that you know some of the history of trial by jury, we hope you're feeling a little better about being here today, and perhaps even a little proud. But we know that pride is not everyone's first reaction to receiving a jury summons.
Jury duty? No. Oh, I don't have time for this. Honey, I just got a jury summons.
That is a natural reaction, and one that many of you likely had when you first received your jury summons. It's inconvenient to miss work or be pulled away from family and home. It's also a process that's unfamiliar, even intimidating to many people. But we're going to do our best today to make your service as easy and convenient as we possibly can. We'll also explain the process, so you'll have some familiarity with a jury trial and your important part in it. And we'll tell you about some key changes suggested by jurors like yourselves that are helping to make the system even better. Now, you may be wondering, who decides if someone can have a jury trial? Well, in jury-eligible cases, the defendant can decide whether they would rather have their case heard by a judge or by a jury.
We would like to request a jury trial.
Here in the Aurora Municipal Court, they may also choose to have 3 to 6 jurors for their trial. These are both choices you would have if you were the defendant. Another question on many people's minds is, when can I get out of here? Aurora works under a one-day, one-trial system. That means you're called to the jury pool for one day. On that day, you may only be chosen for one trial. That trial can last a couple of hours or all day. Here in the Aurora Municipal Court, it is rare to have a trial last more than one day. Under an old system not that many years ago, prospective jurors reported each morning for 2 weeks. We think this system is a lot better. Now, there are many types of trials. Federal courts handle charges filed by the federal government. District and county courts are state courts handling crimes against the state. Those include felony cases and civil lawsuits. In municipal courts like Aurora, you're likely to hear a case involving misdemeanors, such as domestic violence, assault and battery, theft, or traffic offenses. So how are you chosen from this group to hear a trial? Where do you go from here? In a little while, the jury commissioner will find out how many jury trials are expected to begin today. Then the jury commissioner will go to a computer that will randomly select a number of people for each trial. If your name is called for the jury, a bailiff will escort you to the jury deliberation room and give you instructions. You will also find out where you will sit, so the judge and attorneys can check a seating chart and address you by name. Once the judge has dispensed with preliminary matters, the jury will be called into the courtroom. And we want you to know what to expect when you get there and know a little bit about the people you'll see. After you are seated in the jury box, the judge will ask you to rise and swear or affirm to tell the truth.
Do you and each of you swear or affirm that you will truthfully answer all questions propounded to you as prospective jurors in this case? Please be seated.
The judge will then ask the group some qualifying questions. These are simple questions, also listed on your summons, designed to make sure jurors meet basic qualifications, such as, are you a resident of Aurora? Do you know any of the parties involved in the case, such as the defendant or a witness?
Please look around the courtroom and tell me if you recognize any of the parties involved in the trial today.
After these qualifying questions, the judge will introduce the parties in the case, beginning with the city attorney. The city attorney represents the city and will introduce any officers involved in the case, as well as any witnesses the city may call to testify. The judge will then introduce the defense attorney, who will introduce the defendant and any witnesses they plan to call for the defense. Other people you'll see in the courtroom include the bailiff, whose job it is to maintain order in the court. He or she can also be called upon if you need assistance during the trial. The bailiff also serves a number of other duties, administering oaths, tracking exhibits, and more. The court reporter's job is to take down everything that is said and provide a record of the proceedings. You might also see an interpreter in court, helping the defendant or any witnesses communicate. After introducing the parties and outlining the case, the judge will explain the jury selection process.
The jury for this trial will consist of 6 jurors. After you've been questioned, the attorneys will be allowed to request the removal of jurors for a stated reason. We call these challenges for cause. These discussions will be out of the presence of the jury. If I accept the reasoning behind the challenge, the juror will be excused. Thereafter, the parties will remove jurors without any reason stated. We call these peremptory challenges. They will alternate between the prosecution and the defense until we have the 6 remaining persons who will make up our jury. You should not be concerned or embarrassed if you are excused from the jury. It is not a reflection on your character or your ability. This process has been in effect for many years, and it's a process that gives both sides more input into the final jury that hears the case.
Before both sides issue their challenges, the judge will ask you questions, and the prosecution and defense may also be given the opportunity to ask you questions in the courtroom. This entire process, including questions from the judge and attorneys, is called voir dire. It's a French term meaning to tell the truth. You are expected to answer all questions truthfully. If you believe any of the questions are too personal, or if it makes you uncomfortable to answer in the courtroom, you may request to answer them privately with only the judge, attorneys, and defendant present. After questioning, both sides will be allowed to issue their challenges. Some of you will be excused, and the rest will serve as the jury for the trial. And you are about to serve a vital role. During the trial, you are expected to concentrate on the proceedings and carefully consider all testimony and evidence. You should not try to develop opinions about the outcome until you have heard all of the evidence. And you should refrain from discussing the case in any way, in any place, until instructed by the judge. There have been many improvements and changes over the years to make trials less confusing for jurors. These changes are meant to increase jury understanding and reduce the difficulty of serving on a jury. Many of the changes were suggestions from jurors just like you, who told us how to make the process even better. If you have a suggestion, feel free to tell your jury commissioner. It's just one more way you can take part in the American justice system. You are allowed to take notes if it will help you remember the evidence better. During deliberation, you can use your notes to be sure you are discussing all the relevant evidence. You also have a way to ask questions of the witness. The judge will explain the procedure to you. That's a quick look at some of the changes that are intended to increase the juror's understanding. These changes are meant to help you do a better job of being a juror. After closing statements, the deliberation process begins. It may seem like a daunting task, but you will be helped by the instructions from the judge. The judge will explain the laws you must apply when trying to reach your decision and help you organize your group deliberations.
The bailiff will now escort you to the jury room. Upon reaching the jury room, you will select one of your members to be the foreman or forewoman of the jury. Your foreman or forewoman will preside over your deliberations. Your foreman or forewoman, as well as all other members of the jury, must sign whatever verdict you reach. You must all agree upon the verdict. Once you have agreed upon the verdict, your foreman or forewoman should inform the bailiff that you have agreed upon the verdict. But the verdict should not be revealed to the bailiff.
During deliberation, listen carefully to the opinions of other jurors and feel free to share your opinions. The goal of every jury is to reach a fair verdict based on the evidence presented in the courtroom and the principles of law the judge gives you. Our justice system is designed to make it possible for every juror to reach that goal. Once you have reached a verdict, you will be called back into the courtroom, where the foreperson will deliver the verdict to the judge. After you are done with your jury service, you do not have to talk with anyone about the case, including the media, attorneys, or other interested parties. There's no obligation to do so, but you may talk if you wish. Some former jurors talked with us about their experiences. We thought you might like to hear how they felt about serving as a juror.
Well, the first time you get a jury summons, you think, oh no, they got me.
I was bummed. I really didn't want to do it.
Not again. Well, it's making decisions, you know, if I'm doing the right thing or if I'm doing the wrong thing.
After the initial shock, you know, I realized it was my obligation. I was glad to do it.
It's an experience. I hadn't done it before, so I was excited about maybe getting to serve on a jury.
You know, I'm really glad I did.
It was fine. I mean, the judge was really nice, and I mean, it was an interesting experience and, you know, kind of a learning experience too.
It was different. It wasn't like it was on TV.
I feel good. I don't have no regrets of what I said or my decision.
People look on it as a hassle, but it was worthwhile.
And I feel like I did my civic duty as a juror to be part of this. And I actually enjoyed being in there.
I mean, it's exciting and it's rewarding, and it's the least that you can do to give back. So I enjoyed it. I had a great time.
We hope this presentation has helped to answer your questions about the process and what's expected of you. In a while, jury selection will begin, and you may be picked to help someone else take advantage of their right to a trial by jury. Just as someday you may be looking for others to serve on a jury for you. It's a right our founding fathers and many others have fought for over the years. The right to be judged by a jury of your peers. Thank you again for your time and your service.